I'm Devin King, and I'm with
Brandie Piper.
and we're going to talk about branding. So I think first and foremost, we should just say that you have experience in branding. You're a branding manager.
Sure.
We don't even have to go into detail like we were though, but we'll just say you're a branding manager and whatnot.
Sure.
So so I think first and foremost for this discussion, we should talk about what branding is. So to you, what is branding? Because for me, branding is, so have you ever heard the term persona?
Yeah.
So like when you're with someone, you speak a different way, and then when you're with your other people,
absolutely,
you're a different way. And to me, that's kind of what branding is, in that when I view Tide, like a weird thing to say though, but or whenever there's like a local cafe that I love, there's a local cafe in St. Louis called Comic Coffee, and to me, I have pictures in my head of how, what they are to me. It's a small place where I can meet, where I've met a lot of people I've met on Tinder there. So so branding wise, that is a common meetup place, and they even like have something online, and it's like a hipster location. And you know, I've always felt like that. What is branding to you?
I think the proper definition is a set of experiences you offer the world.
Oh, I remember you saying this.
Yeah. But it's like every touch point a product or a company like has with people. So it could be anything and everything. And like you're right, like it could be different based on who like the target audience is. So we might speak to people one way on television or and a different way online. So yeah, it can vary a little bit, but usually those two like personas are connected in some way. They have some commonality.
Do you think that, because I feel like branding wasn't as huge as, I mean, I think it was still considered like a pretty big thing in like the 90s and before like social media, but I think now it's like even bigger, because it's constantly, you're constantly like, you go on your phone, it's like, oh, it's a Tide ad. And then you're like, turn on the TV, it's like, oh, it's a Tide ad.
Oh yeah, totally having a moment. Like, I think because there's so many more ways for brands to touch consumers than even 10 years ago. I mean, think back, Facebook didn't have ads until not that long ago, like within the last 5 years, I think. And it certainly wasn't simple for smaller brands to buy ads on Facebook and things like that. I think Twitter's had promoted ads for probably a little while longer. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many more ways you can communicate with your audience now. Everybody's like super focused on it.
I'm glad I'm talking to you, because I'm about to pull this conversation in a really different way.
Okay.
So, what are some good examples of branding, whether it's specific like examples of a brand doing it or a brand that you think is just like good at like branding? So I think first and foremost, we should say that it doesn't have to be companies. People are their own personal brands.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, in that regard, the Kardashians are awesome at it.
Oh, I would completely agree.
Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. They're super smart about it. Regardless of your opinion on like their character, they know what they're doing, and they have really good teams in place to like make sure that everything stays consistent.
Well, branding period is why Kylie Jenner is a billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
Because from what I'm not into makeup, but my girlfriend's really into makeup. From what I understand, her makeup's like not good. Like,
yeah, it's, well, apparently there's this like British brand called ColourPop, and people suspect, and it's like super cheap, you can buy it online, and people suspect it's actually that makeup that they're buying like wholesale and then rebranding as Kylie. Yeah, Kylie Cosmetics. Because they like took similar colors and they like compared them visually, and like they were packaged the same, they had the same hue, then they like used them, they had the same consistency, they had the same pigment, and so yeah, it's really interesting. But she's making way more money off of that than ColourPop is, but I mean, ColourPop's successful on its own. But yeah, it's really interesting. You just put that brand on it and suddenly people want it way more.
Well, have you seen those fire documentaries on Netflix? And
yeah.
So like I believe she was one of those people that like posted the square, the tile, and it's like it's just a square though, but like because it's these super hot models that are on Instagram.
Yeah, people want to know. Well, why is she posting this tile? What does it mean? Oh wait, this other person I'm following who I also like also posted the same thing. Wait, what are they talking about? What is this?
All right.
I need to go.
So this is where I take this off the deep end. So are you familiar with Soulja Boy's recent resurgence in popularity?
Ooh, no, but I do like Soulja Boy.
So you haven't heard like the whole like Tyga, like the whole like.
Is that in reference to Tyga, or is
it's a reference to his appearance on The Breakfast Club, to where.
Oh no!
And you might want to look this.
I am unfamiliar with this.
So actually,
is this safe for work?
This is safe for work. Actually, can you go to Google Trends? Actually, and look up Soulja Boy.
Okay.
I believe it's SOLJA.
Oh, I know how to spell soldier.
So like look at.
Oh my God! Look at that.
So look, then is there any way we can go to like an even like bigger timeline?
Yeah, 5 years.
So if we're looking at Soulja Boy's popularity in the past 5 years, whenever a lot of look at the surge. So obviously we see in the middle, this is him. There's a huge spike right there, but then recently you see this huge spike. So recently, Soulja Boy went on, and semi-recently, I believe it was December, he went on The Breakfast Club, which is that hip-hop podcast that's based in, or it's a radio show actually, radio talk show that's based in New York.
Related topic.
Yeah, Charlemagne the God or whatever, he's on it, and I feel like people know him because he was big in that Surviving R. Kelly documentary, so. But anyway, he went on, and he was just kind of nuts, and like, they were talking about comebacks, like, oh yeah, like a lot of these old rappers are having huge comebacks. Tyga, he had a #1 hit last year, and because they were talking about like, oh yeah, and then Soulja Boy got like so upset. He was like, Tyga, and like he keeps on saying over. The point of Brandie, what I'm trying to say is that he made this huge meme. If you look up Soulja Boy Tyga, you can see all. I bet you Know Your Meme is probably the first thing that will pop up, or something like. Okay, it's not like the first thing though, but like, I think when you take more.
Soulja Boy is the storyteller of our generation.
Yeah, exactly. So I think whenever you, when people think of like production value, honesty, all these traits to make a good brand, I think 2019, you throw that out of the window. I think getting people to talk and making a meme out of something, like, that's what gets people going these days, especially when I'm going to steer this to the focus. What I wanted to talk about from the main thing on this is that how would you market to a millennial?
Oh, Jesus.
It's basically impossible, right?
Yeah, so millennials are the most advertised to generation, or at least that was the case a few years ago. Gen Z may have surpassed them already, but like we're the first generation that has been inundated with heavy advertising our entire lives. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the older end of the millennial scale, and I mean, computers were in my life from a young age, but we didn't have a computer with the internet until I was like in elementary school. But I mean, and to just think about like what it was like then, and then even what it was like by the time I got to high school, like it was just this explosion of like everywhere I look, it's just ads everywhere. And so I feel like I have become really good at ignoring them. Mm-hmm. So I use ad blocker on the internet a lot. On my phone, if I can use an app instead of using the mobile website, I try to. And like you're still subjected to some advertising, but it's like way lesser in scale. I don't watch commercials. Like even when I'm watching like Hulu and the commercial break comes on, like then I'm on my phone looking at things, so I'm not paying attention. So I don't know how you effectively advertise to millennials. I think it's going to be really interesting as millennials get older and they become more important to brands that want to target people 25 to 54. Right now I'm on the older scale, so I'm 33. As we get older and we get into like 40, 45, that entire demo is going to be filled with millennials who aren't paying attention to traditional advertising. I've said this before, like, we have to figure out a different way of doing things because commercials are, I'm not going to say they're going to become obsolete. They'll probably be around for a long time. People they're not going to be effective like they were 10 years ago, and it's only going to decrease in value. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
And this is kind of off topic though, but I think your fiance, he's really into games, right?
I mean, yeah, he plays them. He gets really offended if you call him a gamer, though.
No comment here or there, but I always think about this, like, when we think of, like, millennials getting older, like, they're going to be people at, like, retirement homes, like, just going to be, like, they're going to be sitting around the TV, like, playing video games. I always think that's, like, a crazy thing. So, I have a personal theory about branding, and especially, like, for millennials. So, I'm really on, like, Snapchat. That's my... Besides Reddit, that's my social media of choice.
Oh my god, side note, I joined Reddit over the weekend because
you need to join r/baby elephant gifts.
Oh, okay. I will look that one up. I've always been like interested. My interest has been piqued, but I was like, well, I need like a good username. All of a sudden. Anyway, so over the weekend it hit me this great username that I am not going to divulge. But so I joined, and I feel like I found my people. I love it so much
because it's social media, but you don't know who anyone is.
Yeah,
and so you just post.
I can be honest. I can. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you don't have to constantly see, like, people make fun of themselves. People make fun of other people on Reddit where they like post like something, like a picture. They're like, what does this have to add to anything?
Yep.
So I feel like, and this is probably a more older thing, but I'll show you how I read it. So when I think of like branding in 2019 in like Snapchat, I think of how many ads have you, I see them all the time, where it's someone just recording themselves on the phone. And it's like super amateur. Production value out the window.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the route we're going. It'll be interesting to know how long those stay relevant, because I just skip over them. Like, they'll get one word out and then I'm gone. And so, like, yeah, it's easy and probably quick. If I would have like stuck around for the entire thing, it would have been like 3 seconds. But like, I'm still skipping over that. So is it even worth?
Have you been advertised TikTok ads yet?
No.
TikTok is like the new Vine.
Oh, yeah.
But like for like, I think even a younger like demographic, but for whatever reason, I get advertised them all the time. I'm just enamored with them. Like,
yeah, so I was on Vine, and like, I'm not as big of a video user as I think a lot of other people are, and so I just have no use for TikTok right now.
Sure.
I'm in the same way. Like,
I just love the ads.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of branding in 2019, I call it the recital of the dance recital effect, and that so. People love it. As like, okay, we can just take TV personalities, for example, when it's just, like, let's say an actor, and they're talking on their phone and they post it on Facebook. Well, big people don't really post that stuff on Facebook, but let's say like Twitter or whatnot, and then people see it on their feed. People, when you go to like dance recitals, no one's like really expecting like super, super talent, but you're expecting to see someone you know or someone you know very well. And because it's someone you know really well, or it's your family member, you see them on stage, you're like, oh, that's my baby. Oh, that's Karen.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of like common branding is all, you see the videos of your friend. I have weird friends that like think that they're vloggers and they post them on Facebook, and I'm sure you do too. And I think when we're on social media and like that stuff gets mixed in with like the celebrities that we consume their brand, through movies, through TV shows, makeup products, whatnot, it makes it feel like it kind of gives them a stage, and it's kind of like oh look, Kylie Jenner's on stage. I kind of know her, even though I really don't.
Absolutely.
That's my baby.
Yeah.
Kind of like that effect. And I think with especially younger people, with millennials, like, you get I feel like, especially from what I've seen on Snapchat, the best like Axe body spray has done this. I think Old Spice, Beats, whatever, Beats by Dre, the headphones. I've all seen these types of Adidas.
Oh yeah.
I've seen all these ads on Snapchat, and it's always rappers, and they're always, and they're just with the phone and whatnot. And I think they have figured out that, instead of, calling it the dance recital effect, it's kind of like, this is the really popular kid in school that I feel like I know that I love Lil Yachty's music, or I love Soulja Boy's music. Oh, he loves Adidas. Like, that's cool. Like, it's like seeing the cool kid in school.
Yeah.
But we've been so numb by production value. The whole white screen, flow, progressive, that kind of Geico kind of ads that like, when you see like something super amateur.
Yeah, it catches your attention because you're like, that's super personal.
So that's how I view like branding in 2019 is no production value. It's the cool kid in school. It's and it's like to psychologically mess with your head.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I had to talk about. I talked for twice as long as we talked about. But thank you so much.